All right. Let's start out by saying Barakateh Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Racha Kudash. Welcome to another live lesson. This one's called a Beautiful Awakening, or The Beautiful Awakening. Now, I was watching this video here, GMS Apostle Street Ministry, with the Apostles and the Bishop live yesterday. And there was a point where the Elder Apostle Tahar spoke about going back to 2007, 2008, when, YouTube was opened up, and then the Spirit would be on him to tell brothers, to go out there and to start teaching, this word, just go out there and teach, and eventually brothers started getting on the comment boards, started finding out, who was in their area, who was in this area, who was in this city, who lived near this city, and brothers started getting together that never met each other and started waking up to the truth, and they started teaching. Brothers went through a whole lot, of adversities, with the police not knowing, what this whole thing was about, because it was new in those areas. Brothers were getting arrested, for teaching the word, so on and so forth. But then eventually brothers kind of came, fell into the loop, so to speak. And it just made me think, of a beautiful awakening, because this was, prior to this, the only other time there was a big, massive influx of Israelites waking up was during the 90s. And then after about 97, it just started dwindling, to where you just had, skeleton groups out there teaching, very few brothers out there still teaching. And when 2007 came in and we first got on YouTube in July of mid-July 2007, when brothers started waking up and camps started popping up all over the place, we were immensely happy. We were joyous, because prior to that it had been 10 years plus that nobody was waking up. It was just pretty much out there just teaching the word, week in, week out, and there was nothing, no action going on. So when brothers started waking up, it brought joy to our hearts, and this is pretty much, prophecy in the scriptures. And there was, like I said, there was a space where there was nothing going on for at least a period of 10 plus years, because brothers didn't really start getting together till about 2008, 2009, I believe it was, and they really started going out. I'm sure other brothers was already out there, but it really started taking root around that time, because we remember, oh, there's a camp in Chicago, oh, Barakateh, Basham, I saw a camp in Cali, what, and we were just happy. And then eventually, brothers started opening up camps in the islands, overseas in Europe, down in South America, Central America, Mexico, and it was like, wow, But nevertheless, this is all prophesied in the scriptures that this would take place, because this is what you would call the valley of the dry bones. Now, this all happened, this great awakening that you see going on around the world, all came from one area, and that was from America, which is known as Babylon the Great. And this happened in Harlem, New York, as you brothers know that have been watching, and that are teachers. How there's a man by the name of Elder Abba Bibbins that was teaching. He was the first, man out there of the Hebrew Israelites that actually started going into the New Testament, because prior to that they were shunning it, because Amalek didn't deal with it. The small hats didn't deal with the New Testament. They didn't believe in the Messiah coming. So he was the first one to delve into the New Testament. The Spirit of the Lord directed him and guided him, to where he, had friction with other members that he was with at the time. And eventually, he broke away from them. Eventually, he out of all the people that he taught, he pretty much chose 3 men to follow on in the legacy of what we're teaching today as Hebrew Israelites from the former One West, 125th Street, and here in Malachi, right? Because there had to be a great awakening because we had lost everything, and that's why here in Hosea chapter 3 and verse 4 it says, "For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterward shall the children of Israel return," which the word return means shawab. This is where you get the word convert from, to return. All right? And then when you look this word up, it's shawab, which means to return. That's what a convert is. When you go to Isaiah the 6th chapter, 9th verse down, where it speaks about that they should return and the Lord should heal them, the word there, or convert and the Lord should heal them, the word there is shawab, which means to return. So you can't return to something you were never a part of. It says, "So they shall afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai their power and David their king, and shall fear the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and his goodness in the latter days," which we're in right now. And this is why, there had to be a reawakening, and a reawakening, pretty much. Like it says here in 2 Peter 3:1, "This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of" what? Remembrance. What does it mean to remember? Re is back. Remembrance is to bring it back to memory, where you get the word memory from. So to remember something is to bring it back to mind. All right. So how was how were they stirred up? By the men of the Lord. The Lord put the Spirit on certain men to wake up and to wake them up. And you've seen, this great, awakening going back to 2007, 2008, 2009. And the word there is diegido, which means to wake up, awaken, arouse from sleep, because it was high time for us to awake out of sleep, because we were sleeping, which goes into the book of Matthew, the 25th chapter, which is the parable of the 10 virgins, 5 being wise and 5 being foolish. All right, the wise took oil, the foolish did not. And when it was time to arise and trim the lamps, the wise were able to because they had the oil, but the foolish were not, because they didn't have any oil in their lamps. And we're seeing that happening right now. You have men that are waking up and going back to sleep. You have some that just don't wake up, period. All right, so that's stir up your pure mind, because prior to the truth, our mind was not pure. This is why we had to be born again. This is why we had to put off the old man and put on the new man. So the Lord was stirring up our pure minds by way of remembrance. And the word remembrance is huponesis, which is a reminding, remembrance. See, back, member or membrance is memory, back to memory. What was brought back to our memory? The truth of, who we really are and the purpose of the Lord. And that was done by a man by the name of Elder Abba Bivens, which was the one that you could say the main pillar, of the One West days. You could say it like that, because he is the standard bearer, so to speak, of the truth that we teach to this very day. Malachi 4:5, it says, "Behold," it says, "I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." Now, Elijah did come 2,000 years ago as John the Baptist, but back then it wasn't the dreadful day of the Lord, the great and dreadful day of the Lord. This is it right now. So he came the second time before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, which we're witnessing right now. And he, meaning Elijah, shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to the fathers. So who did this? You have to go back to Elder Abba Bivens. He's the one that really stirred everything back up. Because although you had men that taught him, because it's an argument people have, well, how can he be Elijah if he had to be taught. Well, basically, he was taught by other men, but they weren't teaching the New Testament. It wasn't until the Lord put the Spirit on him to segue into the New Testament and delve into the New Testament, that the full circle of knowledge came to him. And those other men didn't teach him that. They didn't teach him about the 12 tribes of Israel being the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Because at one time it was just black only. Until the Lord revealed this to this man and to High Priest Ariel, which High Priest Ariel was actually the one that the Lord gave each and every tribe of who they were today, respectively. And then he went back and did the research and then found out, through the precepts and the scriptures, the breakdown of the mystery of who the 12 tribes are today. So it says, "Least I come and smite the earth with a curse," right? Because the Lord is coming to destroy this place by way of thermonuclear destruction. And the elect would have to be awakened before this would happen. And the Lord used a man by the name of Elder Albert Bibbins to bring out this truth, to wake up the elect of the nation of Israel. And this is what we're witnessing today. And that's what the Valley of Dry Bones is all about. The Valley of Dry Bones were those that were asleep, that did not know who they were, because they wandered out of the way of understanding. And we know that those that wander out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So Ezekiel 37, I'll start at 4. "Again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones," meaning these are Israelites that were in a dead state. All right? "Hear the word of the Lord." So when they heard the word of the Lord, some of them revived. Right? The word of Yahweh. "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live." Because at one time, Jake was totally asleep. They were into everything and anything except for being Israelites. "And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you," right? Because he put us in families. Didn't the scripture say, don't the scripture say, "I will set the solitary in families"? That's biblical. And that's what happened. So he started to build up the tabernacles of David that were fallen at one time. It says, "And cover you with skin," right, which is an identity, "and put breath in you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai," because without the breath, everything else is vain. "So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone." And you've seen that happening, during the so-called revolutionary movements of the 60s and 70s, Jake coming together under a particular cause, which was pretty much the same consensus that all of the tribes had, was the injustices being suffered under the same man. We were all suffering the same injustices from the same man, the Edomites, the so-called white man. It says, "And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above," right? Because they came together as an identity, blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians, but there was no breath in them because the truth had not been given to them, fully. "Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Thus saith the Lord power, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them." And this was what? The understanding. Remember, Yahushai breathed upon the disciples, and they became alive, so to speak, meaning their understanding was flourishing more. "And they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army," because this is something that the Lord said would be happening in these last days. Let's go real quick to Psalms chapter 50 and verse 21. It says, "These things hast thou done," this is Most High speaking to the wicked, to Esau, "and I kept silence." They slandered us. They did all manner of evil against us. "Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself," because Esau really bought the Kool-Aid. He really bought into that deception that he put upon the world through the Renaissance. And they thought that the Most High was one of them. "But I will reprove thee," meaning correct thee, and set them, the Israelites, in order before thine eyes. And that's what we see happening right now. That's why in Revelation, the 11th chapter, right, and the 11th verse, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, meaning into the Israelites, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Why? Because the Lord set us up in order before these devils. Because this is the great and exceeding great army of the scriptures, not the IUIC and the purple soldiers. Now it's talking about the Israelites of the elect waking up, and the Israel in general waking up. But the Lord is going to choose and elect from among that. All right. Then it says here, the vision explained. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are what? The whole house of Israel. So what the hell is vocab talking about that the Lord replaced the Israelites? There's no such thing as Israelites, or however the hell he put it. Behold, they say our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts, right? And that's what it felt like at one time. Hey, remember the scriptures say, how hast thou loved us? You know, you say you love us, but how hast thou loved us? And then the Lord went further to break it down. Said, was not Esau Jacob's brother? I loved Jacob and I hated Esau. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O my people, I will open your graves, because we were all spiritually in graves at one time. Until the Lord opened that up, breathed life into us through this word, through the understanding of this word, and we were able to come back to life, resurrected or resuscitated, and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel, because eventually this is the promise that the Lord will bring us back, not man. And you shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it, saith the Lord. Yeah, because we're not in our own land right now. You know, so we're going to be transported back, because remember, we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. It says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, which is a plank, and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions, which is the what? The southern kingdom. Because the nation of Israel was split into two nations. You had the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom went into captivity first under the Assyrians, and then the southern kingdom fell to the Babylonian Empire. All right. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, which Joseph is synonymous with Ephraim, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions, which is the northern kingdom. That's why right now, when we go out there to teach, we have the 12 tribe sign with all 12 tribes on them, their biblical names and their, you know, so-called names today, what we were labeled as today, and join them one to another into one stick. Why? Because the Lord is building up the tabernacle of David. Now, King David had all 12 tribes under him. All the tribes are under King David, and that's what the Lord is building right now, the house of David. And they shall become one in thine hand. Why? Because the Lord is joining the nation back. But only the elect are going to come back in this time. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? By what? By that plank with the 12 tribes on it. Because that 12 tribes sign is a very it's a conversation piece. People walk by and most people will look at it. Some people stop, read it, and, you know, ask about it, inquire about it. Some people might say, well, where am I at on here? So on and so forth. And that's why the Lord said to bring it out there as a sign. It says, say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim. See? Because Joseph and Ephraim are synonymous. That's why sometimes you'll see it say Ephraim. Sometimes it'll say Joseph, you know. But they're one and the same. And the tribes of Israel, his fellows, which are the northern kingdom, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one. Matter of fact, the stick of Judah, meaning the southern kingdom, Let me just get this precept that came to mind. I believe that's Jeremiah 3 and 18. And though and in those days, matter of fact, there was another one that just came to mind. Let's see if I can remember this one. It's either Jeremiah 50 or Jeremiah 51. Just bear with me right quick. Jeremiah 50. Matter of fact, let me read this one first. In those days, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of what? Of the north, which is North America, to the land that I shall give for an inheritance unto your fathers. So this is the great gathering right now that's happening, right? Then we have Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go, and we're still here in this land. And being in this land, the Lord is causing the tribes to come back together. It says, and make them, back in Ezekiel 37:19, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And that's what you see out here, which is the 12 tribe sign. Right? It says, and the sticks whereunto thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And this is a commandment. You know, Ezekiel wasn't carrying the 12 tribe sign. Yahushua and the disciples weren't carrying the 12 tribe sign. So when was this speaking about? This is speaking about in these times, because we would have to be brought back to our remembrance. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And that's eventually where we're going. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. Why? Because we were scattered. And one king shall be king to them all, which is, you know, King David. Yahushua, of course, being a top king. Then you're going to have King David and a succession of kings after him. There are set thrones. And they shall be no more two nations. See? Because we were split into two. Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their what? Idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their power. Just like it says in Hosea. No, I will call them my people who were not my people. All right. So this has been a beautiful, you know, awakening, you know. And when the elder pastor said that, it just brought me back to that time. And I was like, wow, man, you know, from that point till now, it's been 16 plus years, you know, and you see the great growth. You know, you've seen brothers come in, brothers fall out, you know, but you still see the growth of this thing, and it's going strong. And it's going to continue to go strong until the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai comes back to judge these devils and to deliver us, Lord's word, deliver the hopeful elect, which he's coming to deliver the elect. We're just saying we're the hopeful elect. You know, so this great awakening has been something else, man. And it's been a joy, you know, to witness, you know, a beautiful thing to witness. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say, Shalom.